Stupid Palm, the Mac and Emoji, and from CA to VA, my nephew CZARnicholas is doing it in a major way. Let's get into another album review, you dig?
Alright, major factor. Big homage to the West Coast, particularly the Bay Area. I think CZARnicholas is the youngest member of Mapa, Make America Player Again. And if I was to drop some music tomorrow, I'd be trying to get down with Mapa myself. I love their West Coast sound. I love how, the production is a salute to the G-Funk era, a salute to, 90s Bay Area hip-hop. It's just California all up and down. But what particularly makes me take interest in Czar is the fact that he comes from Virginia. Birth of Palm was at Hampton University in Virginia my senior year, okay? So, truth be told, I feel like this review and me linking up with Czar is like kind of the full circle moment to bring the California and the Virginia culture together. Okay, let's kick it from the top. The DJ Dab skits on this, I gotta, acknowledge that I love these every single time I review a Mapa album, but I particularly like how there's character development with this. DJ Dab ain't always too smooth with it. You find out later in the album that, his uncle done gotten at his batch and maybe done gotten some scratch out of her. All right. So, props to them for, elaborating on their own universe that way. But from the top, okay, pay attention. When he said be legit over B.I.G., oof, I felt that. Definitely got that sound of a rapper's rapper from the Bay Area. The sick with it influence just bleeds through. When he says, and then I don't like to dream about getting paid, he sounds so much like Too Short. In fact, it's a little too short. You dig what I'm saying? It just, I'm looking for originality, but it's very much, this entire project is a nostalgic ode to 90s West Coast hip hop. All right, more on that in a sec. Okay, No Shame featuring Shang Manson. Love Shang, props to him. Go check out my review of Late Nights in the 5.0. Like many of these songs on here, they all have the same bounce to them. And I got love for them, Czar and Shang. They got bars on here, but I want more chemistry and more concepts, which they later do elaborate on in the album. But, I like how Shang comes in with the Snoop homage, as the sun rotates and my game gets bigger. Here's the deal. Is this the best chemistry between two artists I've heard on a track before? No. I would encourage them to look at, for example, there's a couple songs that just come to mind off the top of the dome, like Rap Life from Tash and Raekwon, or Hot Bars by Felt, So these are just a couple songs where people kind of cut in and out, and I think all of this kind of takes back from the Nothing But a G Thang, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre formula. I mean, you could even listen to The People by ICP. That's a great song where two rappers play off of each other really, really well. And there's other tracks like that on the album that we're going to get into for sure. But between 1, 2, 3, 4, or should I say 1, 2, 3 into the 4, I mean, it all blends well, but it is kind of bland. Don't get me wrong. I did love this track. But then we go to Can't Get Enough featuring Joe Fresco. That West Side Connection ode, oof, such a banger. Let's play a G-Funk. This is really what Mapa does, okay, everybody? Through the Night featuring Anthony Danza. One of the best beats off this album. They both rapping No Lights in the House, Couldn't Eat. I feel like this is the Hustlers' bounce back anthem. Okay, so again, great chemistry off of each of them. This is really what I was looking for previously. Late Night Creep. And then at this point in the album, it really dawns on me that I've been working with Mapa for 2 years now, a little longer than that. It's an old school vibe. I would love to see them get in the mix with Passion Players or my partners from DC, Neck Music. Again, one of the highlights off this album, Under, definitely got some hit potential. Again, the DJ Dab skits are just so funny. Keep those for sure. Yes, featuring Marvelous and Black Sea, banger. I think at this point I realize SAR is the best when it comes to the collabs. Speaking of which, Velveeta featuring Mugzi, banger. He got Mugzi from the Click on here. This is legendary. Something Right featuring Debbie Dollars, oof. I'm like, here comes the funk. He taking it back to the 90s. Major Factor, he keeping it bouncing. I Don't Like to Dream About Getting Paid remix, definitely the posse cut. Peace to Lil Woofy Woof on here. That's pretty much it, you know. Again, that West Coast bounce through and through, that 90s nostalgia is really just all packed in here, man. I got nothing but love for CZARnicholas, but I do kind of want to see him venture out to other sounds. I know it sounds a bit hypocritical coming from me as biasly West Coast as I am. I really do appreciate people from other regions, particularly Virginia, you know, paying homage to our sound, especially because nowadays this is really the most of what I'm riding around to in my car, you know, from Diego to the Bay, mainstream or underground, it don't matter. I'm California up and down. So, you know, this is definitely the sound rather that I'm on these days. But also I do kind of want to see them venture out into, you know, a little more in experimentation. You know, some good examples of how that sounds is like if you listen to, you know, Jay Worthy's project, What They Hitting For, produced by DJ Muggs, how, you know, there's so many different types of beats, you know, that are not traditional G-Funk, you know, and DJ Muggs is just so West Coast himself that you can like see, oh, okay, this is how you can experiment with production and still rep the coast heavy. You know, niggas like Local Astronauts, their production, you know, how the way they kick beats for different artists like Jay Worthy and Planet Asia and Lord Mob and people from both coasts, okay? So these are just some of the people that I would love to see CZARnicholas rhyme with. Perhaps like I thought about him doing something with Dreddy Franks, Slim Gorilla and Passion Players, like I already said, Evan-Noxious, you know, the list goes on. I feel that like CZARnicholas got that versatility in him though, for sure. I don't want to ramble on for too long. I just want to say bravo to Zar about this project. Definitely gonna be spinning this for a little while longer. If you got some time, man, bump that shit in your car. Major Factor from CZARnicholas is out now, baby. Peace, love, palm. Shout out to the whole Mapa crew. You dig?
Are you an unsigned or independent artist looking for a review of your music? Well, you need to holler at Palm. Send an email to prettyawesomelitmusic@outlook.com or just message me on Instagram.
You better follow Palm.
Biatch.